This hour, we have to get to our next debate here, which means we have to welcome in our next guest, and that's our guy, Paul Jolovitz. This will be round 2 of Giglio versus Jolly. Let's bring Jolly in, and then Kyle can moderate and set this thing up. Jolly, how you doing today, buddy?
Good, Joe. How you guys doing?
We're awesome. Great. We're excited here. So, Jolly, happy to have you on the show and excited to do this debate. All right, take it away, Mr. Moderator. Set us up, Kyle.
The music for me. It's the music.
Yeah, quiet over there, peanut gallery.
Okay, fine.
Sorry, man. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in once again to WIP Debate Day 2024. Your contestants, once again, we have the host of the WIP Midday Show, Joe Giglio, and introducing one of the most tenured hosts on WIP, you may know him as Jolly, Mr. Paul Jolovitz. Gentlemen, what we're going to do here is we're going to debate the topic of, is the NL East race over? And we're going to start with your opening statements, which will be 2 minutes apiece. You will each hear this buzzer when you have 10 seconds left, and then you'll hear it once again when your time is up. We will allow for a 7-minute rebuttal period between Joe and Jolly, where they'll just go back and forth. The gloves will be off. And then closing statements, where we'll go the opposite way. Jolly goes first, and then Giglio second, and that will be, once again, 2 minutes apiece. Gentlemen, you both ready to go here? We will start with Joe Giglio. Your opening statement. Is the NL East race over?
The NL East race is clearly over. The only reason we're not willing to say it, or we're afraid to say it, is we don't want to jinx it, as if that's actually a real thing. Look, the Phillies are the best team in the division. They've been that really for the better part of almost 3 months now. Atlanta came in and won the first 2 games of the season. The Phillies now hold an 8-game lead, which means since the 3rd day of the season, the Phillies have been 10 games better than the Atlanta Braves. In that time, they've outscored their opponents by 136 runs. The Braves have outscored theirs by 36. It hasn't been close for 2 months now, actually almost 3 months. And in that span, the Braves have lost Spencer Strider, their best pitcher. They've lost Ronald Acuna Jr., their best player. They're without their 2 best players, and they're not getting them back the rest of the season. The only way this happens, let's throw the math out there. The only way this happens is if the Braves, in the final half of the season, as we reach about the midway point, the Braves would have to be 9 games better than the Phillies. Look at the 2 teams. Look at the 2 rosters. Look at the gap between the 2 teams. There's very, very little chance the Braves are 9 games better than the Phillies. If Atlanta comes back to win this division, it wouldn't just be a surprise. It would be a shock. Actually, it would be unprecedented. So the 6-division format has been in place since 1994, right? That's when the MLB realigned. They did a 6-division format, and they set up the wild cards. In that time, 30 years, it's a lot of baseball. 3 divisions per year, 30 years, it's a lot of divisions. There has never been a team on June 27th, not one time, that was up 8 games that did not win their division. Go look it up. There's not one team in the last 30 years that was up this many games, as the Phillies are right now, that did not win their division that season. Every other big comeback you could cite, well, it had been chipped away by now. The Atlanta Braves, you might want to talk about that. They did this 2 years ago, right? They did to the Mets. They had chipped away significantly by the end of June. They weren't back 8 games. They are only back 5. The Phillies are the best team. They are up 8 games. They're not going to blow this thing. The Braves are missing their 2 best players. Meanwhile, the Phillies are the superior team. They will win the NL East.
All right. Well struck, Joe.
Ooh, that was
Paul Jolovitz.
Strong out the gate there,
You
Joe.
now will have 2 minutes to state your case on why the NL East race is not over, starting right now.
To my fellow Philadelphians, Mr. Moderator, Mr. Quinn, and all who are listening, first of all, I want with all my heart for the Phillies to win the World Series. Would love them to win the East, but this isn't about our hearts. This is about making Philly statements because things have to be definitive in your world, Joe. I'm not defending the Braves. I'm defending the possibility that they can come back. I'm not defending the outcome. I'm defending the certainty and guarantee of the outcome. Anybody remember the 64 Phillies? Anybody remember the Eagles last year when they were 10-1? Anybody remember Matt Hasselbeck, who said at the coin toss, we want the ball, we're going to score? He's known for that now. Anybody remember Sal Licata when the Mets led the Braves by 10.5 at the end of May? He's not really liking that right now. People can come back. Teams can come back, and they do come back. The reason to state the certainty of it is ridiculous is to pound your own chest and say people are going to remember me for this. Atlanta has obviously not played that well yet. In 2022, as you mentioned, the precedent, they won 101 games, and they still got caught, the Mets did. So obviously they can be caught. I'm not a Braves fan, but to say with certainty it's over is ridiculous. It went from 10 to 6 games in a little over a week. Now it's at 8. There's 82 games left. That's not that big a deal. Injuries are a huge factor here. Phillies have had no pitching injuries this year except for Turnbull and Taijuan Walker. Braves have lost their 2 best players. You know that Olsen's going to heat up. You know that Alden's going to heat up. They got Sale. They got Freed. They got Morton. They got Ronaldo Lopez, who's pitching well. They've won the division 6 years in a row. The Phillies have no pedigree at all. Never expect someone to do something that they've never done before. So while I want the Phillies to win, and they probably will win, to say it's a certainty is ridiculous. 6 times this century, teams have been 10 or more down at the beginning of the division. So to say with certainty is simply ridiculous. It's a hot take, and thank you, Mr. Moderator, for your time. And let's get that.
All right, Jolly, once again, well struck, fellas. I will now allow you, it's time for the cross-examination portion, the rebuttal portion, so to speak. You will have 7 minutes. I will let Joe respond to what Jolly just said. Your 7 minutes, fellas, starts right now.
Well, the facts need to be correct in a debate like this, and it's not a fact that 6 times this century a team has come back on this date from this many games down. It's never happened, Jolly. It has never happened.
June 1st.
But we're not in June 1st. Like that is a big portion of the season that is gone. We live in June. Today is June 27th. That's like saying, hold on, that's like saying, and you're a big horse racing fan, that it's the same thing to come back from a certain amount of distance back in a race. No, we're halfway through now. We're not 40% through, we're 50% through. That's a big portion of the season the Braves have wasted in their comeback. 8 games on June 27th is literally unprecedented in the wild card era. And you brought up 1964. And why that is a faulty argument is back then, as you know, Jolly, the LCS wasn't even a thing. You had one route to the postseason. You had to win your division. That is not the case now. And part of my reasoning, not a hot take, my reasoning, Paul, is because the Braves will not need to push to catch the Phillies. They're going to make the playoffs as a wild card, even if they stumble over themselves. Look at the standings. They're going to be the top wild card. They're still a good team. I respect Atlanta. But in September, if they're 6 back, you think they're pushing to win the division all out when they know they're going to win the division? There's little chance. That's why teams don't come back. Because if you have 2 good teams in a division now, you're in anyway. The Braves are going to be in anyway. In 1964, as we go back into way yesterday, you didn't have that. You didn't have that option. You had to push all. You didn't have that option.
We'll let Paul speak now. We'll give him a shot.
It changes the way races work. This division is over, Jolly.
If it's over, what are you going to do if they lose? There's accountability here. There's credibility. We have one thing in this life, and that's credibility. When we blow it, we blow it. It's easy for a talk show host, and I'm one of them, to say, well, this is going to happen. This is over. Yogi Berra said it's not over till it's over. But what happens with the accountability if it does? 8 games is not that much. They cut it 4 in a week. They play the Braves a bunch more times. The Braves have nobody really who's hot right now, and they've won the division 6 in a row, and I do think they'll try to run through the wire. I think the Phillies will also try to run through the wire, but 8 is not 18, it's not 28, and you quibble about certain dates. You said this on June 10th. I don't care, 10th, 27th, 1st, whatever, minuscule date. Those are stats. Those are kind of meaningless here when you look at all the comebacks. Boston was 14 games behind the Yankees in 1978 on July 19th.
Again, that's a two division format. That's the LCS era. Jolly, baseball's in a different era now. You can't go back in time. The teams operate different. No, you can't. Teams will operate differently if the stakes are different. It's just a reality of a race. If you could get a medal for finishing second, the same medal you get, it changes everything, Jolly. It changes the way teams approach these races. Why in 30 years has nobody come back from 8 down on June 27th? Give me a reason.
So talking over me is not going to win this debate for you, although you want to talk and say every second of the debate. It's just silly to say. What's the point of saying it? Whether it has or hadn't happened before on this specific date has nothing to do with it. There's been big comebacks all over the place, whether it's today or a week ago or whatever. I just closed the example, 4 games in a week. It can easily happen. Don't poke the bear. The Braves they've won the last 6 division titles.
They're not that good. Jolly, they're not that good of a team this year. Just watch them. Look at the lineup they put out yesterday. Poke the bear. They don't have Acuna. They don't have Strider. What bear?
How about 2021? They lost to Cunha. All they did was win the World Series.
Oh, Jolly, I'm glad you brought this up. That division that year, Jolly, that division in 2021, as I know you know, was won with how many wins?
So I didn't mention the division. What I said was...
Hold on. You mentioned the 2021 Braves, who won the division, right? You mentioned that. You said they've won 6 straight times.
I never said that. You want to go back to the tape? I never said that.
But hold on. You mentioned the word. So we're taking. Hold on. Jolly, I'm wondering what debate we're having. Did I once say on June 10th or June 27th the Braves aren't a threat in the postseason? I never said that. I believe they are. If they get in, if they get in, they're a threat in a short series. You brought up the World Series. You brought up the 2021 Braves as if that. Hold on. You brought it up. So I'm responding as if it's a mile marker for what's going to happen this year. I would like to point out, to give context, that Braves team was able to win the division at 87 wins. Yes, they lost to Cunha. The division stunk. This year, the division is going to be won with what? 100? Whatever the Phillies are going to get, 90, 98? So it's a different kind of race we're having this year. Go ahead.
If I had a chance to talk, I'd have a lot better chance of winning this debate because I'm talked over and over again. What I said, Joe, and what you took out of context, the Braves won the World Series in 2021 with Acuna, showing that they can be okay without their best player.
But that's not what that. But no, Jolly.
Oh my God.
Dude, okay, Jolly.
We'll let Jolly go a little here. We're all running out of time.
Go ahead.
All he does is talk. The World Series is won. And Alex Anthopoulos at the trade deadline, the Braves are going to make some moves. But this isn't all about the Braves. It's about the Phillies. What have we won? We have no use and no experience in holding a lead. People have no pedigree on this team. Let them win. They probably will win. But to say it's a lock, to say the division is over, is purely ridiculous for a team that has lost 6 in a row, choked the World Series 2 years ago, choked the playoffs last year. Why are they allowed to do anything? We're saying we're in Philadelphia, and because of that, we're beating our chest, throwing these hot takes out and say, this is going to happen. So I'll be popular and get the headline the next day from my show. It's not. It's probability. Probabilities say anybody can come back, and this is not an extreme case. 8 games. It's happened many times before.
It hasn't, Jolly. It hasn't happened once in 30 years. You are making no sense. You're making no sense. Jolly, you haven't given a single fact that has made a single ounce of sense in this debate once. You're telling me about the Braves 3 or 4 years ago that won the World Series with 87 wins. 87 wins, Jolly. 87 wins is not winning the division this year. Let's be honest. The Phillies have 50-something wins already. It's June. So that example is a single example that is not germane to this one. Then you're bringing up the World Series loss to the Astros 2 years ago as has anything to do with this particular team. Jolly, you want probabilities in history. I gave you those. It is a lock. They're going to win the division. The only reason not to say it is if you're scared of being wrong. That's it.
What are you going to do if they don't, Joe?
What am I going to do? I'm going to do nothing. Who cares?
One after the other. Bryce Harper's going to be the greatest athlete.
Jolly, I have an opinion. Jolly, I have an opinion like you have yours. Nothing happens. Nothing happens if you're wrong, Jolly. That's the fun of this. Nothing happens.
Throwing stuff out.
So all right. I guess we can wrap it up this way. I'm not scared to say it. You are.
Not scared to say anything. I realize
Jolly. It sounds like you're a little afraid to say what is obvious, that the Phillies are going to win the division.
I'm scared to say what's obvious, and that's you never let me talk. I never get a chance to make a point.
Don't let him talk.
And it's completely ridiculous. The Braves clearly have a chance to win the division. Other teams have done the same thing, maybe not with these exact days, but the Braves have all the pedigree. The Braves have the trade deadline. We have the injury factor. We have all kinds of examples in sports of comeback.
The Phillies have the trade deadline as well. Do you believe the Phillies are going to improve?
Jason Kelsey, with the Eagles again, make Jason Kelsey give him a date. The next day he did give him a date. He just like hot takes, and this is another one of them. It's not going to happen that way. The Braves have a chance to come back. I hope they don't. I don't think they will. But to say there's no chance is just pumping your chest and purely ridiculous.
To point out that you spent, I would say, a minute and a half of your time telling me that I don't let you talk. Just talk. Make points. points, Jolly. Instead of telling me I don't let you talk, when you talk, say something that makes sense. Go ahead. All right, Jolly.
Gentlemen.
The buzzer went off, Jolly.
Hold on.
Buzzer.
We will now each have 2 minutes uninterrupted where you guys can both make your closing statements. So there's no jumping over one or the other. We're both going to get plenty of time to speak. So now we will start with Jolly's closing statement. Mr. Paul Jolovitz, you have 2 minutes, and it starts right now.
It's wonderful to be able to talk without being interrupted and then tell me I didn't say anything. It's ridiculous. But I will say again that this is about probability and not guarantees. Guaranteeing things is just so you can pump your chest and say, I made another hot take, watch me. It's real cool. You predict the team 8 games in front is going to win the division. I can do that too. My sister can do that. So can my mother. So what? But to guarantee it, with the facts in front of you, the Braves have historically been a better team, have won the last 6 divisions, have a great general manager, will make deals, will get better, have no players that are really going out of their mind right now. Phillies have had no injuries to speak of other than Trey Turner. There's plenty of things that can happen. I'm not sure they will happen, but they certainly can happen. And to have humility and accountability and not guarantee something is what a responsible sports talk show host can do. Not somebody who has to have a headline every day. Giglio said this, Giglio said that. Jason Kelsey, we saw what happened with that one. Bryce Harper can be the greatest Philadelphia athlete in history. It's completely ridiculous. Another one. I mean, it's just assuming people will do something they haven't done before is not the way to go in life. It doesn't work that way. The Braves in 2022, the Eagles last year, comebacks happen. Whether they're the exact metrics of the date, which you say so, is unimportant. It's ridiculous to say things are sure when they're not, and then put up some phony stats to support it. It's just a hot take. Simple as that. Time's yours.
Fair enough. Joe Giglio, you will now have a chance to make your closing statement on the side of the NL East is officially over, and your 2 minutes, sir, starts right now.
In 30 years of divisional play, there has never been a team at this date, which matters because the date references and reflects how much time is left in the season. Seasons don't start in February sometimes and end in July. They start at the beginning of April or end of March. They end the end of September. The date matters because that signifies how much time is left. It's like a race, and this race is half over. The Phillies have a commanding lead. They have been by far, not a little bit, by far, the better baseball team for the better part of 3 months. The Phillies haven't had major injuries? No, but we can't assume theirs. Here's what I know, not an assumption. Spencer Strider can't play this year. He's done. Ronald Acuna Jr. can't play this year. And yes, the Braves, like Jolly said, and I agree, have the trade deadline, and they have a really smart executive in Alex Anthopoulos who will add to their team. So do the Phillies. So the Braves are going to get better. I agree. They're going to go out and trade for players, and they'll be dangerous in October. But the Phillies are going to get better, too, over the next couple of months. So while the Braves may improve by one deviation, the Phillies will, too, over the next couple of months. And as I said earlier, and I'll say it again, there's a reason this hasn't happened because of the wild card. The Braves are not going to push for the division when they have the wild card wrapped up if there's a gap in September. Teams don't do that because they want to set themselves up for the crapshoot of October. It's not just over because the Phillies are better. It's over because the reality of the race dictates it. The Braves are going to be a wild card, the number one wild card. The Phillies are going to be the division winner. This division is over. It's not just a guess. It is a probability. It's a 95 to 98% chance at this point they win the division. If a meteorologist sees dark clouds come and they say it's going to rain, that's not crazy. That's probably going to happen. It's almost assuredly going to happen. The only reason not to say it is you're afraid. You're afraid. I mean, like if you don't want to be afraid, don't say it. Say maybes and I'm afraid. If you're afraid, to be afraid. I'm not afraid to say it. The Phillies are going to win the NL East.
All right, gentlemen. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully both of you enjoyed it. On the idea of is the NL East race over, Mr. Hugh Douglas, you'll get a chance to score this one. Where do you think you come down?
You know, I haven't had a chance to listen to all of the debates. I only got pieces of every last one.
You didn't listen to the last 2 minutes?
Wait a minute. This is my moment. Allow me my moment. Because I'm talking about all the debates all together. This has been one of the most spirited ones I've heard this morning. That's what I was trying to say, Kyle, but I was long talking a little bit. I think there was great back and forth between the two guys. I gotta admit, sitting here with Joey made me a little nervous when he started yelling and everything. I've never seen my partner like that before, and so that showed that he was very, very passionate. Jolly, on the other hand, Jolly was passionate as well. But I gotta say, I think Joe went 2-0 today. So far, Joe is undefeated in the debate game.
I got another vote here. I got a Hugh vote.